My name is Charlene Hanisch Tyson. I'm a clinical therapist here at the Counseling Center on campus. I have been in my role, this is going into my 10th year. And so a student actually came to the Counseling Center and said, can I start something on campus? Because we don't have a student organization that really talks about mental health. And so she started that and she asked me to be her advisor. And so here we are, Active Minds, almost 10 years later. And so it's been so powerful. It's been an incredible process and experience, and just watching all these wonderful students do such good work. And so, of course, I'm the advisor. So I will hand it off to Samantha.
Hello, I'm Samantha. I'm actually co-advising Active Minds with Charlene. And then I'm also a graduate student in the College Counseling and Student Development Master's program here at St. Cloud.
And she is a wonderful addition. All right, Alexis, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Alexis. I'm one of the co-presidents of Active Minds, and I'm also a second-year clinical mental health graduate student.
All right. And so those of you who are listening to the podcast, we have Michael Libby joining us. He is also one of our leaders. He is in a position where he cannot have audio, or I should say audio. He is not in a position where he can have audio. And so he's going to be in the chat, or he'll be speaking his thoughts and feelings and questions and comments through the chat, and that Samantha will be representing his voice. It's good to have you, Michael. And Michael is an undergrad, and he is looking into a graduate program, I'll also say, in the counseling field. So focusing primarily on rehab and addictions. Another team member in the field, up and coming. Okay, so Toni, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Toni Fredrickson. I'm a 1992 alumni of St. Cloud State University, and I was a mass communications major with an emphasis in public relations, but I've been working in the education field for 23 years. I'm a wife. I met my husband at St. Cloud State in 1989. And he's working from home, but he's in the office, his office right now. And I'm a mother. I have a son, and he's a senior at NDSU up in Fargo. And so I have a lot of roles, I guess, anyways. And I'm really blessed to have such a wonderful, supportive family. I have wonderful in-laws, and they're good people. And God bless my mom and dad. They have passed, but they were great supporters. My dad, just a shout out to him, was a big key player in my when I was in college, having a crisis situation, in advocating for me and being there for me. So God, he's passed, but I just want to shout out to him, because he kept saying before he passed, you need to keep talking about this and putting it out there.
Yeah.
So
here to Dad.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. And he was quite the man.
He was a good guy. He was a very good man, and
he kept us well fed.
Yes. He was a Gerber baby food salesman, and he would get all these products from the other salesmen, and I would bring it up to school, and Shar and my roommates would partake in Campbell's soup and the Nabisco crackers from the Nabisco man he would get at the different stores. And I know that's a segue we don't need to go into, but it was just those college years where, your parents are supplying you with food, and he was a good guy.
It's relatable.
It's very relatable.
So Toni, I'll kind of start, we'll start from the beginning. So Toni, when you and I were living together,
right.
There were some things happening in your life that you didn't understand and we didn't understand. And those were hallucinations.
Right. And I just had a mental health crisis pretty much. And it was just one of those things, I was working 2 jobs, going to school, not getting enough sleep, which I know a lot of college students can relate to. And it just kind of precipitated having, in layman's term, a mental, a nervous breakdown in a sense, and, God bless my family for being there and good friends that saw that there was something going on that wasn't right with the world, and they were they advocated for me. I mean, I probably got the best care possible. I was at Mayo Clinic, so, St. Mary's Hospital. So that was, 1989, no, 88, 1988. And things have come a long way since then, but I don't feel they've come far enough in my perspective. I feel like, the stigma is still there, nonetheless, in some fields. I did work in the corporate sector for a while after I graduated from college. And, it's just people's perceptions of someone that has had that in their background or in their life. And then they, have to, have that in their life. And, how should I put it? Not necessarily struggle with it, but it's a part of their life that they maintain. It's a health issue. It really is. It's not just, it's mental health, and that is a big piece of physical health and other things. And
Toni, if you don't mind, if I could interrupt.
Sure.
So do you mind sharing what your diagnosis eventually ended up being?
Yeah, it was bipolar, and I don't mind sharing that. It is a little daunting to put it out there, but I do, it's by coming out, I guess you would say. And, I feel like it's a subjective point of view. I'm not a therapist. This is just my experience, but I feel like, I was diagnosed at 22 or 23, I think 23. And I mean, my husband couldn't attest to this. I've been stable for 30 some years, and I don't feel like stable is like, everyone has something in their life that they may have to cope with or struggle with. And I don't like the word struggle because it's, it's just a health issue. Yeah. You find ways to have this in your life. It's no different than someone who would have diabetes in a sense.
Right.
I mean, it manifests itself in different ways. But
right?
It's something you manage. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just something that you need to be aware of, take care of, and be proactive about taking care of yourself.
And so, Toni, you were going through life, just doing the best you could, going to college, right. Working,
going to college, yeah,
trying to make, a life of yourself. And then something happened to you, right? This wasn't,
right, absolutely.
This wasn't anything you did, anything you created.
No.
This was a biological, medical condition.
Absolutely.
That oftentimes we put a stigma connected to it, but because we can't see it. It's not something we can cast. It's not something that we are a wound that's seeping. It's something that is neurological, that's going on, in our brain, and it stopped you in your tracks.
Right. I mean, I was just working 2 jobs and going to school, and it wasn't anything I did. And, and it was just, like you said, it was a chemical imbalance. And, God bless that they have medications now that, can be treated with this, just like any other physical issue.
Right.
And
we use the word, you were saying, I don't want to say struggle. And so when I said manage, that seemed to
right. The perfect way to describe it, Shar, because I don't think it's a struggle. This is my perspective. This is totally subjective. I'm sure people out in the communities, and I'm not saying that I'm a Pollyanna about this, but I'm just saying I found a place for this in my life. And I'm very, how should I put it, happy. And I feel blessed that I found the peace of mind that I've had developed all through my life by finding different things of coping, coping skills I've developed through my life when I've had, like when my parents passed away or, something, it happens in your life that is a stressful, moment in your life. And you need to develop those coping skills because you're always going to have something that in your life that you have to, I want to say overcome, but you're going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
whether it be, some kind of, something going in your life, just going to work or having someone in your family have a health crisis of some sort, or, just things that go on in your life from, 23 to 56. I mean, you've had things I've had things in my life, that have happened as far as, I think a big piece is when my parents were declining in health as they got older. I hate to ruminate on that, but I won't. I'll try not to at least. But that was a big piece of my life going through as an adult,
Sure.
as an older adult, having to deal with those issues.
It's a stress.
And having to find things that would maintain my peace of mind to go through those things.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think about, how you managed, how you maintained, how you coped with something that you didn't ask for.
Right.
But it was the cards that were dealt with. And
Right.
for you, it was bipolar. For another, it could be depression. Another
Right.
could be cancer.
Right.
Whenever we are faced with having to manage that, that's a challenge.
Right. And, my mother-in-law said one thing to me, and you could either, and this wasn't even regarding my health, my mental health or anything like that, but just something that went on in my life. You can either make it you bitter or it can make you better.
Mm.
And yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
And
so how do you make it better?
By speaking out and by showing people that, hey, this can happen to anybody. Not that I'm saying making sweeping generalizations that, people can do, but I'm just saying, people throughout their lives can develop mental health issues in some sort of manner, manifest itself in different ways, and it's not a character defect. It's not making you less competent in your life. I really feel that just because you may have something like this or manage this in your life does not make you somehow less competent in any way, shape, or form in your professional life, in your personal life. It doesn't make you less competent. It just makes you have to be a little bit, not a little bit, but more aware of how you deal with things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and you can attest, you're married, you have a very successful, healthy son, you have a career, you have your support systems.
Right.
Talk about the role that your support systems have played for you.
I have a girlfriend, my friend Kathy. Well, I got a shout out to her. I've been friends with her since fourth grade. And I have a husband that I met in 1989 at St. Cloud State, who is just the love of my life. And I have in-laws, I've had sisters, and I just have a wonderful support, that everyone has in their life, hopefully. You have these people in your life that are your rocks and that are your go-tos that are going to give you honest feedback and honest commentary about, it's just like any other friendships or marriage or anything else. You have those people that are your go-tos that you can have those honest dialogues with and say, hey, what do you think of this? You know, and they're like, yeah, you're pretty off base on that, or you're, you know, you have every validity to feel that way. And that's just, you know, life, really.
Yeah. So you've done you've trusted other people
Absolutely.
and you've allowed yourself the vulnerability of turning to people. And not everyone has that. So a lot of people have turned to people and they've really not stepped up, or they've felt betrayed or not important. And so I would imagine for those who have experienced that, to keep searching for those people in your life.
Right. Absolutely.
Whether that be a counselor, whether that be a spiritual leader, if that fits for you, or someone that you can share some common understanding with.
Right. And on that piece, I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't had people that in my course of my 30 some years since I've been diagnosed, that haven't let me down or have really, how should I put it, said some very unkind things to me. But I've found a place in my, you know, it's usually a reflection on that person, you know, and I don't want to be, how should I put it, like reflecting on something that person's saying, but I'm just saying, you know, it's like, professionally, I've been at a corporate situation and where I've had directors say to me really inappropriate things, and at my first job when I graduated from college, you know, and this is in 1992. So, you know, hopefully corporately or in the business sector, it's come further. But I mean, I've had some people say some pretty inappropriate things to me as far as, you know, in the work sector, and it's not okay. I mean, professionally, you wouldn't talk that way to anyone in any other business relationship. Why is that allowed for you to say to that individual, you know, what, you know, that person said to me? Because, you know, and that person was in a management position. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's really, it's hard, you know, in that sense. But, you know, in the last, I don't know, I've never experienced that in my career since. I mean, when I was working in the corporate world, but my first job out of college was, you know, kind of, you know, a struggle, I should say. Not a struggle per se, but it was eye-opening, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. And it kind of made me guarded as far as, like I said, like who I share this with. But as the years have progressed, I just realized if you don't talk about it, if you don't educate people, there's always going to be that stigma. And people who do need to have some kind of help or some, how should I put, people that reach out to them that say, hey, this is fine. You need to talk about this, because they're not going to get the help they need. And, you know, maybe that person is silently struggling so much, you know, that, you know, it could be a tragic outcome, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you need to talk about it in order for people to feel comfortable to come forward and say, hey, I need some help. Can you help me? Right. I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, this is so good. I mean, Michael says completely agreed, Toni. Completely.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Anyways.
You know, as I'm looking at the time, I want to ask another question before we wrap it up.
Sure.
You first started, Toni, talking about kind of stress, you know, where you were working 2 jobs, full-time student.
Right.
It was the 90s. And also, I just need to say, there was nothing really on campus. We had some counseling, but it was a different type of counseling.
Right. It was like, hey, you're not doing well in your classes. Can I help you get some kind of support for your classes? But as far as like personal counseling, and that's why I kind of reached out to you, because I thought, what a wonderful organization you are, you know, Active Minds, because there weren't any organizations on campus addressing those issues or making people feel comfortable talking about this or reaching out or getting the help they needed.
Yeah.
And there was such a stigma attached to it that even if you did talk about it, it was like, well, they're a little off the cheese is sliding off their cracker or something, because there needs to be a dialogue about this in the community, on campuses, just in the public life. And I'm sure it's getting better, but still, I think a lot of people have preconceived notions about what it means to have something like this, or, you know what I mean? They make sweeping generalizations about a population that they don't know anything about, or they may know people that they have no idea that have this. And that person is not going to tell them just because of some conversation that they've, heard this person talk about. And I know this for myself,
right.
And I've probably not said anything to people because I'm like, for one, I've gotten to the point where I feel like it's no one's business, because you don't reflect on every health issue you have with other people, But I also feel it's important to talk about, because if it means that one person will go get the help they're seeking, it's worth it,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Toni, couldn't you see us back in the late 80s when we had homecoming?
Right.
We had homecoming parades, and we would have had an Active Minds float.
We would have. We would have had
an Active
Minds. Big brain on it. We could have put a big brain on it. Absolutely. Right. I don't know.
So as we end, can you talk about stress management, like sleep and managing life, setting up boundaries, so you can manage just your life? Right.
Well, a big piece of it is, I think for me, is stress management, as far as getting enough sleep. I mean, it's like how should I put it? It's like the obvious in a way, but not. It's something that people kind of take for granted. I mean, getting enough sleep, taking care of yourself, having boundaries with people, being able to say no. I think telling people that, hey, this is not okay. Saying no. I think that's a big piece. And just finding things that give you peace of mind, hobbies, exercise, things like that. I love to ride my bike, and just trying to develop those self-care things that you find joy in. And if it's reading a book and just sitting on your couch and reading a good book, or being outside and taking a walk and out in the woods. I mean, I think nature is a really healing thing. I mean, Dan and I like to camp. We go camping quite a bit. We like to fish. We have a boat. And just doing those activities that, like, hey, this is my happy place, And it sounds so cliche, but it's really true. You've got to find those things that you find joy in. I really believe that. Absolutely. So Alexis has one final question. Sure.
I'm wondering what you would say to a early 20-something-year-old who is going through a situation that's similar to yours.
I would say reach out, get help. If you need to see a therapist or whatever professional, do it. And if this is just my take on it. This is totally subjective, but I would say, when I was put on some medication, I was like, oh my gosh, this is some kind of character defect. What did I do? And I didn't blame myself, and I didn't feel sorry for myself, but I felt like, God, I'm damaged. What is wrong? But then I would just say, believe in yourself, because you're stronger than you think. It's like that Winnie the Pooh saying, you're stronger than you think, or I don't know the whole saying, but you're stronger than you think. And usually, I don't know, I'm not all knowing and all seeing, but I'm 56 now. And from 23 to 56, I've had a lot of reflection, in the sense that, hey, as 23, I was pretty tougher than I thought I was. But pretty resilient in the fact that I made it through, you know, and you will come out the other side. And yeah, it sucks, but you will make it through this. And the people that count in your lives will be there for you, you know? And I know I think that's terrible to say, but some friendships I have just like put on, like I've ghosted them because they weren't good for my mental health. I mean, they didn't want the best for me. And I've had friendships with people that I had as a child that I just totally cut out of my life because they were not generous in spirit. Let's put it that way. But as a 23-year-old, like I should probably go back to that instead of segueing off. I would say you're going to struggle. You're going to cry a lot. You're going to maybe feel like, I'm never going to make it through this, but you will. You will make it through this. And I know it sounds like Pollyanna and not like you have concrete steps that you wish you had a booklet at 23 that someone said to you, hey, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to be fine. But it's totally subjective. That person's got to find what's going to make them come out the other side. And it's not the same for everybody. But I think, you know, have confidence in the people that you trust, that they're going to be there for you, you know.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Toni. Your words are of wisdom are so powerful. And
you think? I don't know.
Oh, they are. Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, you've walked your talk and you know it firsthand. And so thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, sharing your voice, sharing your story.
I just want these kids to know that, you know, reach out to professionals if they need help.
Right.
You know.
And with that, on our Facebook page, in our social media, we will review the CAPS and community resources. So we will provide all the phone numbers. We'll talk about, we'll put on the CAPS, what we're doing here, and how to connect with us, how to make an appointment. The St. Cloud Medical Clinic here, or our St. Cloud State Medical Clinic, we've got a wellness coaching also opportunity for you that is fantastic. We have the crisis response team here in our community that is right here in our neighborhood, that will come to you or reach out to you. We also have the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. And so we will provide all that. We also have our Active Minds information that if you want to become a member, please, we could always use more stigma fighters to help us do our mission. And so thank you, Toni. I will call you tonight.
I feel like I rambled on way too much.
You did not.
No.
Please,
oh my God.
Please do not walk away from this doubting any of it. It was fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't walk away feeling bad or feeling any shame. It was really good. I think when we're passionate, sometimes can feel like rambling to ourselves, but it comes off as very profound.
Oh, thank you. I was like, oh God.
And Toni,
I went off on a tangent.
Coming from a clinical therapist, I just kept thinking in my head, check. You checked all the boxes.
Oh my God, thank you.
So,
wow.
And
I'll share that with my therapist.
Yes, we couldn't have said it better.
Shout out to her, man. I won't do that to her though.
Here to therapist. Yes. All right. Well, thank you again. We're going to sign off. I have 11 o'clock session I have to get to.
Okay.
So I will call you tonight, Toni. And on behalf of Active Minds, you rock.